It's the Daily Dog.
Hey y'all, welcome back to the Daily Doug. I am thankful that you are hanging out with me today because we're going back to some music by Genesis on today's episode, and I am here for it, y'all. It's been a few months. I think the last time we looked at music by Genesis, it was their Nursery Crime album. Very much enjoyed listening to that one. But today we're going to their song called Mad Man Moon. This song is off of their album A Trick of the Tail. It is their seventh studio album. It was released in 1976. This album is the first of Genesis albums to feature Phil Collins as lead vocalist following the departure of Peter Gabriel. And so today we've got Phil Collins on drums and lead vocals. We've got Steve Hackett on guitars, Mike Rutherford on the bass, and Tony Banks on the keyboards. Tony also provides the words and music for this selection. And it's going to be a good one today, y'all, because not only are we listening to some great classic Genesis, but I have a score to follow along with. And special thanks to our good friend Peter T for providing today's score. I really like it when I have access to these scores because it gives us a little bit more insight into not only what the chords are doing, but some of the melodies and the voicings of these chords and how the music sort of plays out. So I'm really much looking forward to diving into it. So let's get to it, y'all. We're calling this a Teaching Tuesday. How about that? Because I get to follow along with music with the score. And let's do it together, shall we? This is going to be Mad Man Moon by Genesis. I am using the original studio recording. Here we go. 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3 and a 1. Lands in E minor there.
Was it summer when the river ran dry? Or was it just another dam? When the evil of a snowflake in June could still be a source of relief.
Really nice little sequence melodically there.
Oh, how I love you, I once cried long ago.
Addition of some strings.
But I was the one who decided to go to search beyond the final crest.
Whoa.
Though I heard it said just birds could dwell so high.
It's beautiful, right? There's a repeat, so it's going to go back to the first page.
So I
Yeah.
pretended to have wings for my arms.
There's the
And
5
took off in the air.
to 1 and E. E major switches to E minor. Same progression as before. Changes there. So they land on that C chord.
Were 1,000 mirages, the shepherds of lies, forced me to land and take a disguise. I would welcome a horse's kick to send me back.
That chord's
If I
interesting
could
to me.
find a horse not made of sand.
Is this going to repeat or go on? It's going to go on.
It's all there'll ever be.
Who's the E major?
Then tell me what becomes of me. A fall of rain. There must have been another of your
Whoa.
dreams. A dream of man,
There's going to be some fun stuff coming up next. Let's stop here. Okay. Let's stop here. Okay. There's a lot going on, y'all. I'm just scrolling back to the beginning. Let's take a look. Yada-da-da-dee. So he's got a little bit of an enigmatic opening here. He's hiding a little bit of 4/4 and 3/4. Is that in G or is it in E? The fact that he lands on this E minor here tells me that he's thinking of it in E and not in the key of G, those being the two key signatures that have one sharp, right? So the thing that strikes me first is how he's kind of hiding that a little bit with these inversions. We've got this E minor chord here, and it's a 1 chord, but he's got the 7th of the chord in the bass. And here he's going down a step to the D chord. There's your D, and there's your F sharp, and there's your A, but he's got the 7th of that chord in the bass as well. So these first 2 chords being in 3rd inversion, before they land on this whole measure then acts as a dominant to E, and he lands on E major, a 4-measure phrase there, right? So when we start again, we've got, he changes back to E minor, and this is a similar progression as before. The E minor over D, the D in 3rd inversion, and then this time, instead of going to the B major chord and resolving to E, he's got sort of an inversion here, then it's B minor, it resolves up to C instead. That allows them to follow along in E minor for a bit, and this is some fun stuff with the C sharps. With the A major chord, if he's in E minor, it's going to be a little bit of modal mixture, borrowing from the parallel major, right? This A major chord coming in, it gives us a sound of Dorian mode. Oh, Lord. Oh, and this, holy crap, y'all, look at this. So I almost want to rewind it and listen to it again. Well, we might get back to it, but this is interesting. So he gives us, let's see, E minor for a 2-measure phrase, and we've got that modal 4 over the top of that E pedal. Does the same thing here. Then he gives us A, and then starts messing with us a little bit. So this should be a D dominant 7th chord instead of a D minor 7th chord, except he's changed that F sharp to an F natural. So that's the first part of breaking down what's going on. Then that F natural comes down here, and I'm going to take a little bit of issue with either Tony or the person that notated this, because that's not an F diminished 7th chord, y'all. Here's the fun thing about diminished 7th chord. So let's take a look at what's there. We've got an F down here. We've got a G sharp. That's an augmented second. So we typically don't have chords that have augmented seconds in them, right? An F fully diminished 7th chord would have an F, an A flat, a C flat, and an E double flat. And it would function most often as leading tone to G flat, if it was G flat minor, or maybe the 2 chord in, well, not fully diminished, you know, but maybe if it was like half diminished or just the diminished F chord, it could be the 2 chord in E flat minor. But this isn't an F diminished 7th chord, y'all, because of the spelling of this. We've got, I would call it, I think, a G sharp fully diminished 7th chord. G sharp being the root, and then the B is the 3rd, the D is the 5th, and the F is the 7th. So, fully diminished 7th chords are interesting because they are symmetrical chords. Every single member of them is separated by a minor 3rd. And the fun thing is that with these chords, the fully diminished 7th chords that have 4 notes in them, each of the 4 notes at any given time could be the root, the 3rd, the 5th, or the 7th, depending on how it is spelled. Composers use these chords a lot for like common chord pivots to move to a different area. You know, you could respell it and have a different note resolve a certain way. If this was F fully diminished 7, I would expect the F to resolve up to a G flat, not down to an E, right? The fact that it's resolving down to that E tells me that that F is acting more like the 7th of the chord than it is the root of the chord. As I look at this, though, I think that the fact that this fully diminished 7th chord goes to E is a little strange. A G sharp fully diminished 7th chord, I would expect to resolve to A, maybe. But this one's going down to E. I'm thinking that this G sharp is a chromatic passing tone. If that A is in the D minor 7th chord, and then we're going down to this G natural, then that G sharp kind of acts linearly as a elongated kind of chromatic passing tone. And I think the same thing can be applied to the F. If we're starting with an F sharp kind of hanging out, or where it should be, the F natural then is a chromatic passing tone from the F sharp down to the E, which it lands here. So this is an interesting usage of a fully diminished 7th chord. I would almost think of it as a voice leading chord and not a tonicizing chord in terms of its function. You know what, y'all? Let's go back to, well, at least a little bit. And, well, you know what? Screw it. We're going to go back all the way to the beginning because I need to listen to this some more. So now that I've got a little bit of a footing in it, let's listen again, shall we? Here we go. Get back to the beginning. 3, 4. So he gets us to E minor.
Was it summer when the river ran dry?
It's an excellent vocal from Phil, too, by the way. Changes from major to minor. Then we have this next 4-measure phrase, and we land on C instead of E. There's the major 4, minor 1, major 4, then minor 4, right? Huh. That sets up flat 6, the flat 7, and it goes back. And it stays on that flat 7 in the bass, but the root of the chord goes back up to 1. It's really smooth.
I flew to places which the clouds never see. Too close to the deserts
of sand. So back into this E. Right? That major 4 chord.
Take a disguise. I would welcome a horse's kick to send me back. If I could find a horse.
It's a really neat sound.
Not made of sand.
This is going to go on. Major 1. Regular 2 chord. 2 half diminished. Flat 2 major 7.
There must have been another of your dreams, a dream of
It's where we stopped before, but I have to stop again, y'all, because let's look at this little section. If anything, would it be a chorus? Maybe? I don't know, but a different section. There is some interesting harmonies that are happening in here. So a lot of times if I am going to analyze a section of music or look at a section a little more intricately, and I'm a little bit lost, like if I'm not sure how I'm, like where is these F chords coming in and what is going on with the B flat in the key of E, right? But if I try to look at the beginning and end of the section, it can give me a tent pole sort of, this is where the composer thinks they are now, and this is where the composer thinks they are here. And I can, if I can figure out the end parts, then I can better contextualize what happens in between them. So the fact that we start on an E on this section and we end on an E in this section tells me that he's thinking of this as in E. So what is going on with all of this in the middle? Let's take a look. I'm going to move over to the lyrics here. If this desert's all there ever be, then tell me what becomes of me. A fall of rain, that must have been another of... So he's in E and he goes up to the 2 chord, right? This G sharp is still just an extension holding over from the key of E, right? He's not changing the key signature, but he's writing in E major here. So he's adding in the sharps that he needs to make it sound right. So it's the 1 chord here, and then it's the 2 chord, the minor 2 chord here. And then he starts breaking down this 2 chord. Instead of F sharp minor, which has an F sharp, an A, and a C sharp, he moves to a chord that's got an F sharp, an A, and a C natural. And then he goes in and adds the E for the 7th of the chord. So we're breaking down the C sharp to the C natural. And then here in the very next measure, we break down the F sharp and make it an F natural. So we're kind of deconstructing that 2 chord. It goes from just the regular minor 2 chord to the 2 half diminished, borrowed from the parallel minor, from E minor, right? And then we get flat 2, an F chord, just F major 7, right, with that E still up there. So what's going on next? The F resolves up a 5th to the C, and then when we come back to it here, this kind of becomes like an extended C dominant chord here to get back to the F. And then we do the exact same here, this F diminished 7. That's almost the same voicing they had before, but I think those are just chromatic neighbor tones around the members of the 3rd and the 5th of the F chord. So up here, the F chord resolves up by 5th, and down here, the F chord resolves down by 5th to B flat. And I think that this could be a sort of text painting here in the lyrics. I wonder if this is a piece in the lyrics of. I wonder if it's written about Peter, if Tony is writing about Peter here or not. I read how close Tony and Peter were at the time. And, there's metaphors in this, all over this, right? A person turning away from their reality, opting for dreams. And so I think what's happening in this section musically is the person is kind of stepping away from reality and they're not sure which way to go. It's almost like coming to a fork in the road. And this F chord can resolve up by 5th or down by 5th. And it actually does that. It says, well, you can go this way or you can go this way. And in the end, he chooses to stay on his own path here because it goes back to E. This B flat chord then gets us back to F. F then is the kind of the flat 2 of E, and we'll resolve back down to E here, and we do it over an inversion, which allows us to hide the sort of the harsh shift of that key back into E. And then all of a sudden we get these C sharps and G sharps re-happening, reoccurring here. He hides it kind of over this E. So is it minor? Is it major? Is it C sharp minor? Is it E? The reality is sort of fungible in this instance. We're going to keep rolling and see what's up with the rest of the piece. Here we go. So we're down in this area, I think there. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 6, 7. That's a repeat. And that's new music that's not in this chart. I have no idea where they're going now. Your guess is as good as mine. That's cool. I think it's the same bit. Similar, it's a take on that. So I still think he's around that C sharp or got back to it. Or at least written here, D flat. There's some bass pedals. Cool. Yeah, there's more of that major chord with the lowered seventh of that chord underneath it. He's done that several times throughout this piece. This is just a straight 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So we're not even in 7/8 anymore. Lovely sounding. No, okay, this is the back of the speech. Whoa! Okay, all the way back to the beginning. That was wicked, y'all. Fun stuff. This would be a return of the A material, reinforced by the fact that they're reusing the same notation as before for this third verse.
And thoughts will fly higher till the earth brings them down. Forever caught in desert lands, one has to learn to disbelieve the sea.
Flat 6, flat 7, major 1. Really bright arrival there.
Then tell me what becomes of me.
What becomes of me there?
A fall of rain that must
Or
have been enough
what comes of me there?
of your dreams, a dream of man.
I'm going to stay where I am for now. That's really cool. It's going to go to the coda. It's going to resolve 2. No, there it is. C sharp minor. Then I think an exact transcription of the beginning down a third. What a masterpiece that is. Boy, there's lots of great stuff in there. While I'm here, let's look at this last little bit, y'all. One thing, like if you're analyzing and you're not sure what to think of a section, if you can find a similar section in a different part of the piece, you may get more answers. And this is helpful to me for how to understand the beginning. So check this out. We land on this C sharp minor chord, okay? And he ends the whole thing in C sharp. Remember, the beginning, he ended up in E. But this yada-da-da-team, right? So I could think of this as T, Do, Re, Mi, La in E. But he's not thinking of it that way. In C sharp minor, it's Re, Me, Fa, Sol, Do. And so if I go all the way back to the beginning of this piece, that's not T, Do, Re, Mi, La. It's Re, Me, Fa, Sol, Do in E, and then it starts on the 4 chord, and that A minor chord is the 4 chord of E minor, just as this F sharp minor chord is the 4 chord of C sharp minor. So they reuse the introduction. It's the only time I think that introduction material is used in the piece, is at the very beginning and at the very end. Really, really interesting stuff. Let me get back to my notes over here as I was reading in on the lyrics. there was one spot in the lyrics that I highlighted. It says, within the valley of shadowless death, they pray for thunder clouds and rain, but to the multitude who stand in the rain, heaven is where the sun shines. The grass will be greener till the stems turn to brown, and thoughts will fly higher till the earth brings them down. Forever caught in desert lands, one has to learn to disbelieve the sea. The first part of that, within the valley of shadowless death. Shadowless death, that's a really cool turn of phrase. So what could be shadowless, right? In the desert, no trees, right? No clouds, just sun and sand. And it says, within the valley of shadowless death, or in the desert, they pray for thunderclouds and rain. But to the multitude who stand in the rain, like at the muddy pit in Newcastle, where it rains all the time, I think, heaven becomes where the sun actually shines. So depending on where you are, the grass is always greener somewhere else. Wherever the character in this piece is, he wishes he were elsewhere, the opposite of where he currently is. He's stuck in the desert. He wishes for rain and clouds. He's stuck at a muddy pitch in Newcastle. He wishes for sun and sand. And you're always wishing for something that's not where you are. And it becomes sort of this dream state. And in the end, I wonder if Tony's saying, you know, the best course of action would have been just to stay where you are, my friend. Don't chase this, don't chase that, just stay the course. Maybe it was a plea to Peter to stay in the band. I have no idea if I'm on the right track, but I'm pretty sure that some of y'all will know some more backstory to this than me. But that is my interpretation of how this piece works. It was wonderful to have that little bit of a chart to follow along. It really is helpful for us. But wow, what a really cool piece. I haven't ever really listened to A Trick of the Tail. So we'll get to some more pieces off of that album as well. Great stuff. Whew. I absolutely love diving into these pieces and trying to analyze it. And what I'm looking for in the analysis is not whether I have the ability to or have the training to properly label something. The label cannot be a means to an end, y'all. Once you get a name for a harmony, you can then talk about it as if it's a real thing and move it around and try to understand its context. And that's really the end goal here. I'm trying to figure out, you know, with the lyrics and the point of view from the language, how is the language of the harmonies and the melodies interacting with that, and what meaning can we pull from that? That's really the fun part for me. And so it's been quite a fun Tuesday to look at this with you all. Great stuff. We'll get to some more Genesis as soon as we can, but for today, I think that's all. Thanks everybody for being with me, and we will see you next time on another edition of the Daily Doug.